Hello, welcome to the BetHelper betting preview. The game we're going to be looking at now is the other game in Group G. It's North Korea versus the Ivory Coast. It's scheduled for the 25th of June. It's Friday at 3 p.m. The venue here is Nelspruit, so again altitude. Have a look at the Asian markets. The Asian handicaps have actually changed. Started off at 1.5. That's North Korea plus 1.5. Now down to Korea plus 1.25. Surprisingly enough, North Korea are actually shortening at these new handicaps, while the Ivory Coast are drifting. You would have expected the opposite to happen, given that North Korea got absolutely taken apart by Portugal, and Ivory Coast actually have a slim chance, a very very slim chance of qualifying if they beat North Korea by a sufficient amount of goals, and if Portugal lose to Brazil by a certain amount of goals as well, that they will actually can still qualify. Having a look at the unders and overs markets, the handicap here has changed as well. It started off at over 2.75, it's now down to 2.5, so a bit of a drop in expectation for the number of goals here. Since it's changed to 2.5, it's actually stayed flat, so I suppose they are expecting 3 goals there. Having a look at the betting exchanges, the betting exchanges have North Korea shortening slightly. They're at 9.6 in from 9.8, so a bit of support for North Korea there, surprisingly. And the Ivory Coast have actually drifted a bit. They started off 1.41, they went down to 1.4, and now they're up to 1.42. So surprisingly, there's a loss of support there, but they are still heavy favourites. The draw has actually drifted as well. It's now at 5.2, out from 5.1. The overs, the over 2.5 goal market is down from 1.91 to 1.88. So there's a bit of support there for the over 2.5 goal market. Have a look at the percentages matched at the betting exchanges. At the moment, it's only 120,000 that's been matched on this game, so kind of a distinct lack of interest from the public in this game, probably because it doesn't really mean that much, as I don't think people are expecting Ivory Coast to actually score enough goals to qualify, and I suppose that is based on Portugal losing as well. Still would expect that to be up over 1 million, maybe 3 or 4 million by the time kickoff approaches. But anyway, having a look, and no surprise here that Ivory Coast are the better backside. They've got 76% of the match bets there, but I suppose it still is early days in that it has a tendency to be skewed when it is small numbers like 120,000. North Korea actually was surprisingly high support here. They had 16%. The draw is only 8%, so you would have expected the draw to be a more likely outcome than North Korea victory. Have a look at the overs market. At the moment, it's gaining support. It was 88%, now it's at 90%. So that is a lot of people expecting over 2.5 goals here. But again, there's minimal amounts of money wagered at the moment, so we'll have to see those stats tomorrow. Have a look at the bookmakers. The bookmakers have North Korea drifting. They're at 9s, coming out from 8.5. Have a look at the Ivory Coast. They have actually the Ivory Coast drifting. They're at 1.4 out from 1.36. The draw then is actually shortening. It's at 4.5 out from 5s. So it's the only one that's got the draw shortening. Have a look at the overs at the bookmakers. It's actually shortened at 1.8 from 1.85. So again, they're expecting overs there. Taking a look at the form, North Korea have pretty dire form. They've only 2 draws in their last 6 games, 4 defeats and 0 victories. So yeah, unsurprisingly that they've lost their opening 2 games. They obviously lost their last game 7-0 against Portugal, and they lost their opening game 2-1 against Brazil, where they actually put up a pretty valiant effort. And against Portugal, they were only 1-0 there in half time, and then it was an absolute collapse in the second half. Have a look at the Ivory Coast. Their form isn't any better, really. They've only had 1 win in the last 6 games. They lost their last game 3-1 to Brazil. drew their first one 0-0 against Portugal. So you would expect them to win this, going on paper, and given that they do have a slight chance of qualifying. Head-to-heads, they've actually never met each other before, unsurprisingly, I suppose. Looking at the streaks, the Ivory Coast have 4 wins and 3 losses against Asian opposition. They've never actually drawn against an Asian side, so it's either all wins or all losses. And Korea have only conceded 4 fouls against Portugal, which is the lowest of any game since 1974. I suppose it kind of springs to mind that they actually couldn't get close to any of the Portuguese players to stop them from scoring those 7 goals. The Ivory Coast have only won one World Cup game. That was in 2006 against Serbia. They won that one 3-0. They were already out of the competition at that stage, so it was just a performance for pride, basically. So you might say that repeating itself here. Korea have the most off-target shots from outside the box in this World Cup from the opening 2 games. They've had 17 shots blaze over or wide so far. And the Ivory Coast actually have the most unsuccessful dribbles in the World Cup from the opening 2 games. They've had 27 unsuccessful dribbles. And Korea have no wins in their last 8 international games, so that's pretty shocking for them, really. Have a look at the rankings. North Korea are 105th according to FIFA, while they're 79th according to the ELO rankings. So not a great side here, as you're not too surprised about. Ivory Coast then are 27th according to FIFA, while they're 26th according to the ELO rankings, so pretty decent side. The referee for this one is Alberto Undiano. He's from Spain. He actually was the controversial ref that was in charge of the Germany-Serbia game. And that one he gave 8 yellow cards, 1 red and 1 penalty. So it's pretty much off the charts, really, in terms of any ref so far. Having looked then at his overall international record, he's refed 48 international games, given 202 yellows, giving him an average of 4.21 yellows per game. So that 8 was almost twice his average. And he's only given 6 red cards, which gives him an average of 0.12 reds per game. So it was surprising that he sent close off for those 2 rather innocuous challenges. And he's only given 7 penalties and giving an average of 0.15 penalties per game. So again, it's a bit of a surprise there for him to give a penalty. Having a look at the injuries, there's no major injury worries. I suppose the fitness of Drogba could be called into question again, given he is recovering from a fractured shoulder. Taking a look at the goals scored in qualifying, North Korea only scored an average of 0.875 goals per game, so they're not really most prolific, and one of the only sides to have an average of less than 1 per game. And then they've an average conceded of 0.625, so again it's pretty close to their average goal scored, so they're not very prolific in either. Have a look at the Ivory Coast then. They have an average of 3.16 goals scored per game. They're in a pretty dire group for qualifying, and Drogba actually ran riot in their qualifying. They only conceded 0.66 goals per game, so again the poor opposition is accountable for that. Have a look at the probabilities then. North Korea and the computer probabilities come in at 19%. Ivory Coast come in at 64%. And while the draws at 17%, so no surprise there that the Ivory Coast are major favourites for this one. Taking a look at the implied probabilities based on the bookmakers odds, they only give North Korea a 10% chance, so that's compared to 19% chance based on the computer probabilities. Ivory Coast come at 70%, so that's compared to 64%, and draw comes in at 20%, which is compared to 17%. So the bookmakers have the Ivory Coast higher as well as the draw. So having a look at some suggestions, at the moment you'd have to look at Ivory Coast are the only ones really with any kind of motivation for this game. The overs also look like they're likely, but again we're going to have to finalise these tomorrow in the next 24 hours, so go to twitter.com/BetHelper to get updated stats and analysis and my final picks, and leave any comments below.